Welcome in and welcome back to my channel. I'm so happy to have you here. In this week's video, we are doing the first installment of my guest bathroom renovation. But before we get into that, I have some explaining to do because I haven't posted a video in quite a few months now, and some of you who've been following along are probably curious as to why, and the reason is I'm pregnant. I have never had a kid before. I am so excited. I have a baby boy coming this summer. My husband and I are overjoyed. But if I'm being really real with you guys, the last few months of morning sickness and doctor's appointments and the cold winter actually took a huge toll on me. So I needed to take some time off. And the good news is I am feeling a lot better now. And I'm excited to hit the ground running because not only are we doing this project, but there's so many things I need to do to prepare this house for our baby to come. So if that's anything you're interested in, follow along. We're about to do some really fun stuff on this channel. Let me tell you from the beginning, it really needed some help. The tile on the floor was installed poorly. One of the doors was bright red, which is cool, but not really our thing. And it was a little bit dirty. So off camera, we cleaned the entire bathroom and we painted the walls just like a very neutral white color. Now for the fun part, which was demo. Now, before we get into this, I do want to remind you, you got to wear your safety gear, your protective gear. We happened to film this part and do this part of the project before I was pregnant, so I wasn't worried about that. But if you are pregnant, I would advise not taking part in demo. But we wore our safety gear, this was a while ago, and we basically crowbarred up all of the tile in the bathroom. Now that tile was so gross. It was honestly just a nightmare because it wasn't installed properly. It was installed and it almost looked like a jigsaw puzzle where some of the pieces didn't fit together perfectly. And every time I went in there, I absolutely was hit with this despair of looking at it. So we said it had to go. Once again, blank canvas, so we ripped it all up and we kept moving forward. We had our friend come help us and we decided once again to go with a pretty blank slate with some bigger pieces of white tiles. I think I can show them here. They're from Floor & Decor. Not super expensive at all. We wanted it to be functional, useful, durable, and something that once again we could build off of and design-wise and add color in other areas. So we went with like a nice white marble looking floor. To complement the floor, I wanted a kind of creamy grout color to go in between the pieces of tile, and that was because I wanted the grout not to stand out. And then my other pro tip that I haven't quite shown here is you should caulk along the seam. Like our tile butts up to the bathtub, so we caulked along that seam because we don't want water spilling out from the bathtub and getting underneath the floor. That's just awful. So the bathroom was looking a lot cleaner because it was a lot cleaner, but it was missing something, and that's when inspiration absolutely struck. And I just happened to notice that I had some clients who had the very, very similar style of bathroom tile and look that I was kind of interested in. And I think they said it was something like shiitake mushroom or something from Sherwin-Williams. Now, because our bathroom is a little bit lighter, we decided to go one shade up, and I could put that right here. By this point, I was very much pregnant though. I did not want to be by the fumes. And this is when my husband basically completely took over the project. So thank you so much, honey. You are the best. I want to talk you through how to refinish cabinets because people get really freaked out about this, and you can completely do it from home. We redid all the cabinets in our kitchen, and now we've done these cabinets in our bathroom, and they have held up and they look fantastic. So the first step is to degrease everything. Remove the doors, take off the hinges, and degrease everything. You need like a crud gutter or a simple green or something that actually can get into the oils and the grease, not just a normal everyday cleaner. I would still use something that's eco-friendly, but something that can wipe off all the oils of when your hands touch it, when people touch it, when things splatter. You need to get all of that off of the cabinets first thing. From there, you need to do a type of scuff sand because the cabinets are really smooth and the paint needs something to adhere to and kind of lock into. So you need to do a pretty good sand of all of your cabinets. That's the door fronts and the frame of the cabinet itself. Now, look at me really closely because you cannot skip this next part. You need to wipe the sawdust off of where you've cleaned. It doesn't need to be this crazy production, but you do need to get a lint-free rag and wipe all the dust and grime and everything off after sanding so that you have a very, very clean surface to start with and so that your paint has a place to adhere to. All right, now for the part that gets everyone freaked out. What do you actually paint with and what kind of paintbrush do you use? This is my recommendation for you. Don't use like a bristle brush because it will show the lines of the brush. You're either gonna use a really good foam roller and then maybe a tiny little brush for like the corners you can't get, or you're going to use a paint sprayer. There's some on Amazon for really cheap that do a fantastic job, but those are gonna be the two options that get you a really smooth finish. You're gonna do 1 to 2 coats of primer, and you wanna go through and basically have every single surface on the cabinet covered on the frame and on the doors. The doors might take a little bit of extra time because you do wanna do both sides. It would be really awkward if you didn't do the inside of the doors, so don't make that mistake. Do both sides of the doors. Take the time, do it right. Once your primer has dried and all the coats have been put on that you need to get a paint that's made for cabinets. And so what we always use is, I think it's a Sherwin-Williams like cabinet enamel paint. I could put an example right here, but this is the type of paint that not only will adhere to those parts of the cabinet that you sanded on, it'll dry smooth and it'll create a slightly harder surface. So it'll become very, very durable. When you're applying this paint, you want to be careful that the application of it is smooth, that you're using the foam roller or the sprayer really evenly. In this case, because it was a smaller piece of furniture, my husband just used the foam roller, and honestly, I can't tell the difference. I think he did an amazing job. He did about 2 coats, front and back on the doors and also on the frame. And honestly, it only took him like a couple days between priming and painting with drying time to get this done. So it's completely manageable. You could even do it in a long weekend or every day after work, and you would be pretty amazed with how quickly you'll transform a cabinet. Once we decided that the paint was dry and that we loved the color, we added on our hardware. Now this is the hardware we had from before. It's just little black pieces, and I think it made the cabinet really pop. It adds some color in the space, and finally, not every single thing was white in there. There was a little bit of contrast, and I knew with the decorations that we were gonna come with, we needed to add even more contrast and even more color to make the space more interesting. Now, I didn't wanna break the bank or anything, so we just went over to Target and picked out a few pieces of decor and like towels and bath mats that we thought were cute and went together. Of course, I might update these over time, but I wanted something that brought a little bit of life to the space, and so you'll see that we added those in and it made a huge difference. At this point, we've definitely taken our bathroom from something that was a dirty eyesore to something very clean and functional, but I'm not done yet, and I want to tell you a little bit about what I have in store for this bathroom, as well as get your input on it because I'm a little bit indecisive. One thing I know I want to do for sure is get a new countertop. I want a new sink and new faucets, and just to kind of add a little bit of more functionality and beauty to that space. So I want your input on what kind and color of countertop you think I should get. I'm also contemplating adding some type of accents to the wall. Should we add shiplap? Should we add a different paint color in the walls? Would you change the decor? Let me know in the comments below, what else would you do to this bathroom? What are we missing? And let's get into it, because I want this bathroom to be absolutely beautiful by the time our baby boy comes. Well, thank you guys so much for watching this video and following along with the journey. If you enjoyed it, if you could give it a big like and subscribe to this channel. I am so excited, like I said, with what is coming in our house and these projects we're gonna do. And my heart is just to take you along for the journey, because I wanna show you what's possible, what's easy, what's hard, what you can do on your own, what you might need help with, and show you how we got there. And, you know, honestly, be very upfront about what worked and what didn't. So follow along for the journey. Until then, I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye now.